Hi. Hi, this is Archie with Vitiligo Speaks and Adam,
Hey.
Cherie's significant other. We're continuing on to part 2 of Cherie's book, From Victim to Victor. So, Adam, I just have a few questions for you today. Thank
Okay.
you so much for being here.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
All right, so Adam, as Cherie's significant other, do you believe vitiligo has impacted your relationship? And if so, how?
To be perfectly honest, it's affected us more now than it did in the beginning. With her becoming more and more in touch with more and more people with vitiligo and going to certain functions and all the Facebook pages and things like that, it's affected it more. In the beginning, she told me what it was, and it was like, okay, that's what it is. Okay, let's talk and figure out who each other are. So it's more of an effect now than it was then.
So it's more of a positive effect because of the influence of the community.
Well, it's good because there's so many other people that she's been able to interact. So she doesn't feel alone. She doesn't feel like, hey, I'm the one person that has this or anything like that. When you see the people that are just like you, it's just like looking around the world. I mean, everybody's pretty much the same. And the fact that you can find people that share something with you makes you a little bit more confident in yourself.
Okay. I only had 3 questions, but I wanted to now spin off of that one.
Okay.
How do you, because you did mention about her feeling like she's the only one that has vitiligo, when y'all go out into the community, how do you handle the stares?
I don't even worry about it. That's their problem. To be perfectly honest, that's their problem. If they can't deal with it, then that's really on them. I've learned as I've gotten older, not as much when I was younger, but other people's problems, I got enough problems of my own. No reason to take theirs on.
Do you ever address it or say anything to her or to the people?
If I see that it's like overly, usually if it's overly, something we both see it, and Cherie's very big into educating what it is. If I feel like it's just like awkward in a bad way, just protect her, I will say something to somebody, just to educate them and everything as well. Try not to make it anything adversarial or anything like that, but we're human, and somebody's staring at you and they just keep staring and staring, you feel some type of way. It just needs to be addressed, and it's really just about education.
Okay. So the next question is a little more personal. Are you okay with that?
We're going to see.
Okay. All right. So do her insecurities about her body change how you view her body?
No, it changes. It changes dynamics of our relationship. Everyone's got their own stuff that they're dealing with. In any relationship, it's always going to be things that both of you have to grow on. When you add other circumstances to the mix, it makes it harder. It just makes it so we've just got to try a little bit harder. And there are days where it's tough. Her dealing with what she deals with, me dealing with what I deal with, and then us putting it together gets really difficult. But in the end, I think we're just going to win. I think love always wins out.
Indeed. What about how does it impact, I guess, the intimacy, with the things that go on in the bedroom? Does that make it more difficult to really enjoy one another, or is it not a factor?
No, I don't. I can't speak for her, but for me, I never let it. It's when the lights are out, everybody looks the same anyway. That's the way I've always looked at life. The lights are out, everybody white, black, Hispanic, Chinese. If you've got different skin pigmentations, we all look the same in the dark. It is what it is.
Okay. Okay. That's so funny. So she has mentioned that she still feels as though she's not enough. What words of advice could you offer her to remind her that she is always enough?
If she sticks in the game long enough, it's like the best analogy I can say is Michael Jordan. You look at his career, greatest basketball of all time, arguably. Every new kid that comes up, they try to make him, they're the next Michael Jordan or better than Michael Jordan. You've got to look at things in longevity. She could look at her growth and her development right now, or she could just stay in the game and see where it leads to. And I've just learned, and it wasn't always like this for me, but I've just learned patience. And as time goes on, they say time heals all wounds. And if you just kind of like stick in the game for a while, after a while you start to become more comfortable because it's the only, I've always been, to give it a good analogy of it, I've always been short my whole life. I always thought that my dad was like 6'2", my mom's 4'11", I thought I'd be taller, and I'm not. Me and my brother ended up in the middle, but I never let it bother me because I was always short, and people would tell me, oh, you're short. I'm like, really? Because I'm just me.
I'm just me.
I can't be anything else. It's not like I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning and all of a sudden I'm going to be 6'5", which would be nice, but it's not happening. So I just had to accept who I am and just deal with it.
I like that. That statement is pretty profound. It's just remembering that I am just me, and that is enough, right?
That's enough.
That is enough.
That's enough.
So let me ask, what about when, I know you said to stick in the game, and you said just, think about the long-term goal. Sometimes, especially I know for me as a woman, that's a little more difficult when you go out, because we are the ones that go out, we do the shopping, we're having to face the public more often, and being just thinking in the back of my head, look at the end result isn't always easy. What advice could you give her for a daily reminder? Like what is something that you can say, or she should think or feel, to help her feel better about approaching each day?
That's a really good question. And I've got a deep answer and a funny answer.
Okay.
So I'll start with the funny answer.
Okay.
The funny answer is, I've got a really great smile, and then smiles on my face, Cherie, because of you. So whenever you get down or anything like that, go on Facebook and look at my smiling face, and or call me, and it's all good. That's the funny answer. The deep answer is, it's really about us communicating, and when she's feeling some type of way, and it's difficult as men. We don't, we kind of like, okay, that's our men attitude. It's like, okay, whatever. You get hurt. Like, okay, my arm's hanging off. Hey, it is what it is. Let's keep working. We're just a different mindset. So for me, if I put myself in a situation, it'd be like, all right, whatever. That's what they say. It's like the same thing. I'm short. Okay, they say it's short, but women are more emotional. So it's a little bit more difficult for them to deal with things like that. And it's difficult for us as men to understand that that's how they look at it, because we look at it completely different. So I guess it just really has to come down to love and communication. If she's feeling some type of way, she's got to learn to let me in, let me know what's going on. And I'm not always going to answer the right way. I'm not always going to, sometimes I might say something that might be insensitive, but it's not out of malice or anything like that. It's just because I haven't learned understanding and how to communicate to her what she needs at that time. And it just goes back to what I said, like, you just stick in a game, because if you look at an old married couple, they kind of complete each other's sentences all of the time. They give each other a look that means 10,000 words. So that's because they've been with each other through all these things. They understand the communication and how each of them react to things. So as we're in a relationship, our relationship is pretty young, and like any relationship, we've had some bumps and some bruises along the way. But as we learn each other and things get more and more, if we're getting on the same page, I think it'll work its way out, and I'll know better what to do. And to be honest, I'll probably see it coming before she gets to that point of being low, because I'll understand her more, and then I'll be like, okay, I can see, we're at about 30% right now. It's like the battery. It's like we're at like 30% now. Like, I could keep fooling around and let it go out. No, let me
recharge that battery. Oh, that's
Fix
phenomenal. I do want to clear up, though, a misconception that, women are emotional, because there are a lot of men in the vitiligo community who suffer in silence because they feel as though they cannot open up or connect to those emotions. In fact, it has been more men who have responded to Cherie's story than women. So, what would you say to a man that is going or enduring, those emotions? As a man, how do you connect or deal with emotion?
I saw something I remember I was probably about 14 or 15 years old. And, this is no gay thing or anything like that or whatever. Like, but, you see some guys and they're not like the best looking guys. But they'd always be with like the women that were like the most beautiful. So what I figured out is it came from something called what we all call self-confidence. And as you learn yourself and you stop worrying about what everybody else is saying and what everybody else is doing, and you grow more and more in yourself, all that stuff doesn't, everything that everybody says doesn't matter. So I just would suggest to like any guy that's feeling any type of way is to look in yourself. And for me, it goes back to my creator. It goes back to me and God. And, I know that he's in me. So that means I got to be something great. And even when times are bad, because we all have difficult times, when I really look inside myself and I say, this is the spark that I came from, and I have that inside of me. And if I act within that, then I'll be great. And it doesn't always work immediately, but the more confidence that you have in yourself, then the easier it gets to deal with people. And I guess I'm getting like the old black men, that are on sitcoms and stuff like that. They just be like old cranky men. Like, I just don't care anymore. It's like the Steve Harvey thing. It's like,
it is what it is.
I don't have time to deal with you being mad at me or, looking at me a certain way because I do this, I do that. Like, you don't make my family better. You don't, give me a better place to live. You don't help me take care of the things I need to take care of. So I could focus, a lot of it's focus. I could focus on all the negativity you're bringing to me, or I could really do what I really got to do and just step up. And whether I look a certain way, whether my body says a certain thing, I used to be a real thin guy. Now I got all this, extra stuff. It is what it is. I just got to deal with it. It's God gave me a deck of cards and I got to play all 52.
So in closing, it is okay though as a man to connect to those emotions.
Oh yeah, I cry all the time, and I'm not ashamed to say it. I've been holding back tears during this whole interview. I've been doing my best. I know you guys probably look. I'm like move my eyes and stuff. Like, no, I cry all the time, and you know what? It just feels good to sometimes let it out. We don't let stuff out, and it's difficult as a man because you're supposed to be that strong one, and you get a woman, and you have to first off trust her enough to let it out. Because you don't want her to look at you like
Don't say
I don't want to say the word, but
yeah,
you guys know what I'm talking about.
Because there's
you
just don't want to look like a weak person.
You just don't want to look like a weak person, but keeping it real on the street. You know what I'm saying, guys? Like, you don't want to be that guy. So it just becomes difficult to just let it out. But again, as I've gotten older, I'm really not caring what everyone else is thinking about me. I'm more caring about who I am.
Feel about
and
yourself.
Because I came in this world by myself. Yeah, there was people around looking at everything, but you go out of the world by yourself, and you really can't say, "Oh, I got to take on this from this person." That no, you can look at stuff and you can learn from their experiences, but you really have to do it on your own. You get one life, and it's yours.
That is the best statement. What a perfect ending. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
It.
I look forward to being on a whole bunch. You guys are gonna get tired of me.
All right, take care.
All right, guys. Have a